So if you plan to apply for a Schengen visa, then you need to watch this video because I'm going to be sharing everything you need to know before you apply for a Schengen visa. Things like which country should you apply from? What documents do you need? What are the timelines? What's the questions in the application? Everything that you need, all the questions that you have in your mind, I'll be providing the answers so that once you're done watching this video, you will be equipped to go and begin to apply for your Schengen visa, okay?
You make me proud. You make me proudly.
Hi, my name is Couscous. If you're seeing me for the first time, I help ambitious individuals study, work, and travel smarter in the UK and beyond. And if that sounds like you, hit the subscribe button. So I recently applied for my Schengen visa through Greece. I got my visa approved in 2 weeks. Yes, the duration was 2 weeks. And I just thought, okay, let me just share with you because I've been getting a lot of questions. Let me just share with you guys everything that I did that would help you, okay? This video is going to be divided into 4 parts, like in my notes that I have noted. So the first thing is choosing a country. I'm going to be explaining what you need to take into account before you choose a specific country. I'm also going to be talking about the application process, what is in the application process, what you need. I'm also going to be talking about the document checklist and what happens at the visa appointment itself. So that's how this video is going to progress. Sit tight, grab your notepads because I'm going to be sharing everything you need to know so that at the end of this video, you'll be able to apply for your Schengen visa. Let's start with choosing a country. There are 29 Schengen countries currently. So as of 2025, there are 29 countries in the Schengen area, which means when you get a Schengen visa, you'll be able to visit the 29 countries, okay? And for this kind of visa, you would like to have a visa that is more than a month or 2 or 3 so that you can pace yourself and travel at a comfortable pace. And also because Schengen visa requirements are a lot, you don't want to apply and then you get a 5 days or a 1 week visa. I know somebody who got a 1 week visa. Somebody in the comment section of one of my videos said they got a 5 days Schengen visa, which is very rude.
That was rude.
What I usually try to tell people, like at the end of this video, you should be able to submit a very strong Schengen visa application such that you will get a longer duration of time. Take note that where it is your very first time applying, you are likely to get a lower duration, like 2 weeks, like 1 month or 2 months. But some people, of course, it's better to get a month or 2 months or 3 months rather than getting 1 week. So before you decide to apply through a particular country, you need to think about their policies. What are they like? Okay. First of all, availability of appointment. I wanted to apply for my Schengen visa through Netherlands, but I've completed my application form. I completed the entire application form and I was waiting for like 3 weeks to get an appointment and I did not get an appointment. So VFS Global Center handles a lot of visa application centers for the Schengen countries. So obviously, VFS Global was going to release appointments for Schengen visa through Netherlands. But after I submitted my visa application, I waited for like 3 weeks. I was not able to get appointments. Every time I would go to the website, they would say, oh, unfortunately, there are no appointments available. And I would keep checking every single day. And then I called VFS Global because I kept calling VFS Global to check in case I was just not doing the right thing. But each time I call them, they'll be like, oh, we're so sorry. There's no appointment currently for Schengen visa to Netherlands. We urge you to keep searching, to keep updating your page, to keep monitoring the page. I'm like, am I supposed to monitor the page for 3 weeks or 1 month of till eternity? Anyways, long and short of the story is that I was not able to get an appointment in 3 weeks. So I dumped that visa application and I applied through Greece. Before I applied through Greece, I wanted to know the availability of appointment because I didn't want to risk completing another visa application form and at the end of the day, I still don't find an appointment. So what did I do? I first of all went to the Greece visa application website and I checked for availability of appointment. So I was able to find an appointment 1 month from the day I checked. So after I booked an appointment, I paid £25 to book an appointment. After my appointment was secure, I then went ahead to apply. Now, not all countries will allow you to book an appointment before you apply, which is why you need to consider the country that you need to apply from. So I know somebody who applied from Spain and it was easy for that person to get an appointment to Spain. Was it even easy? Because a friend of mine applied for Schengen visa to Spain through Spain. However, it was a business visa. I know that usually people get appointments quicker when it's a business visa. Because I know my friend who currently lives in Spain who has been looking for appointment for her mom. She's been trying to apply for Schengen visa through Spain for her mom, and for maybe 3 weeks now, she has not been able to find an appointment. So you need to actually find a country that will give you appointments first before you apply. Another thing you need to take into account is the likelihood of success. Is this country going to give me the visa? There are some countries that their head is not just correct. There are some countries that are absolutely strict without the need to be. So you need to think about it. Apply to countries that have the likelihood of success. Do your research, okay? Another thing is application process and conditions. I wanted to apply through Spain. I opened the application. I was like, all this requirement for just visa. I don't think I had the energy. And now I'm thinking, I'm like, maybe next time I want to apply for a Schengen visa, I'll apply through Spain. But as at the time I wanted to apply for my visa, I did not have the energy to provide all the conditions that Spain wanted. So I did not apply through Spain. Another thing you need to take into account is duration of the visa. So how long is this country likely to give you a visa for? France has given my friend a 1-week visa before. How can somebody apply for a Schengen visa and you give them 1 week? Is that not wickedness? Absolute wickedness. Another friend of mine applied through Czech Republic and they gave her 1 month. 1 month might not be a problem for first-time applicants, but she is a third-time Schengen visa application applicant.
What?
So usually for visa applications, when you apply the first time, they give you a lower duration of time. The second time, maybe they'll give you like 6 months or 1 year. And ideally, the third time, you should be able to get 1 year plus or 2 years. So she applied through Czech and Czech gave her 1 month. She was so angry. She wrote to them. She was like, I am due for a 2 years visa. They didn't do nothing. So you need to be careful the countries you're applying through. The things I'm telling you, you need to go and do a deep research to know which country is likely to give me a visa for a long time as a first-time applicant or as a repeat applicant. As I've already shared, some countries don't care if you've applied before, they will still give you a limited duration of time, which you don't want. Of course, I'm going to be sharing in this video, I'm going to be sharing much later what you need to do if you want to get a long duration of visa. Another thing is proposed travel itinerary. So usually Schengen countries demand that you apply to the country that you either plan to enter first or you plan to spend the longest time. So for instance, if you want to go to Berlin and Germany and France, but you want to enter France first and then go to Germany and then spend more time in Berlin. So for instance, you want to enter France and stay for 2 days. France is your first country of entry. And then you want to stay for 2 days in Germany, but you want to stay for 1 week in Berlin. Schengen countries would require that you apply through Berlin, even if you are entering through France, because you're spending just 2 days in France. Although the ideal thing is apply to the country that you plan to enter through, which is in this case France. But if you know that you're going to spend more time in Berlin, then just apply through Berlin. So there are different factors to consider when you're applying. So which country are you entering first? Which country are you staying back for long? Because most times border control might ask you, if you present a Schengen visa that you applied through Berlin and you arrive in France, border control might ask you, okay, why you've not entered Berlin, why are you entering France first? And you have a proper explanation to give. Also, you're going to explain in the visa application itself why you're applying from a specific country. So, and also note that when you are applying, you're going to provide all the details of your itinerary. So if you say, I'm going to travel to 3 countries, then you're going to provide the itinerary of the 3 countries. Note that this does not mean that when you get your visa, you absolutely have to travel to those countries. So what I did was in my application, I only provided itinerary for 1 country, Greece, just because I wanted to provide accommodation for Greece and flight ticket for Greece. I don't want to come and start providing accommodation for Germany, accommodation for Paris, accommodation for, because if you tell them you're traveling to 5 countries, you may likely have to provide accommodation or flight schedule for those countries, and I did not want that. So when you take all of these things into account, you will be able to decide which country you want to travel to. Are they likely to give me a longer duration of visa? Do I want to enter this country as a first point of entry, or am I going to spend a longer duration of my time in this country? Do they have availability of appointments? Very important, because if they don't have appointment, what are you gonna do? What is the duration of their visa process like? What are their requirements? So these are all the things you take into account so that you decide which country you are going to apply for your Schengen visa. I have a Schengen visa application guide. The link would be in the description box. In the guide, I share detailed information on how you should apply through a specific country, which is Greece. I applied through Greece. So in the Schengen visa guide, I share detailed information, step-by-step guide. I take you guys through the entire process of how I applied through Greece and how I got my visa. So if you would like to apply through Greece, check the description box. and get your Schengen visa guide so that you would go ahead and apply for your visa. So now that you've decided which country you're applying through, so let's say Greece, you're applying through Greece. What I usually do is anytime I want to apply for a visa application, I go to the country's website. So for instance, I live in the UK. So I'm going to go to Google and say Greece Embassy in the UK or Greece Consulate in the UK, and you will get the right website. I do this because I go to the consulate's website because they can never mislead you. You may find different websites on the internet that would say, oh, apply for Greece visa here, or apply for France visa here, apply for Schengen visa here, but you don't know if it is correct. So if you plan to apply through Germany, go to Germany Embassy in the UK, Germany Consulate in the UK, then click the website and go. When you go to the website, then you navigate to visas. That is the best way to get the visa application portal. So like for me, I navigated to Greece Embassy in the UK, which is the Global World Center. Of course, I shared it in my other video where I shared the outcome of my Schengen visa application. So that's how you find the right portal, and then follow links to visa application portal and then complete your application. So when you follow the link, you go to the country's embassy. They are going to you navigate to the visa. Then you would see different visa categories like work visa, study visa, tourist visa, business visa. So you're going to apply for the tourist visa. So click the link to the tourist visa, complete the application. In the Schengen visa application guide that I shared, that I said the link is in the description box, I shared the entire application process from the questions. When I was filling the application form, I was recording my screen and I was explaining the questions and the answers so that you guys will understand. So if you want to apply through Greece, once you get that guide, you literally have everything at the palm of your hands. Okay, let's assume you have submitted the application. So the application is obviously an online form that you have to complete. They're going to ask you questions like, when do you want to travel, where do you want to stay, what itinerary, how much are you going to spend, and all of that. So when you're done completing the application, download it because you're going to print it and submit. I'm going to address that in the document checklist section. When you're done with your application, then you book your appointment. Like I said, because I was applying through Greece allowed me to book an appointment before I submitted my application, but not all countries will do that. So the correct order of things is you complete your application, then you book an appointment, which is what I tried doing with Netherlands, but they disappointed me. So book your appointment and you have to buy insurance. Greece did not allow me to submit my visa application except I bought insurance, which I think was good because it means they make you do what you have to do at once, not the ones that will leave you to your detriment. They'll ask you to go buy insurance wherever. And they also made me buy the insurance with their partner, which I considered safer, because if you're working with this insurance provider, then I might as well just buy from them. Some other countries you have to buy your insurance yourself, and please make sure you buy the insurance to cover the duration of your trip. Okay, if you're traveling for 5 days, if you're traveling for 10 days, buy an insurance that covers the duration of your trip, and they usually have a minimum, usually like 30,000 euros cover. So depending on the insurance provider, you will see how much it is. Sometimes it's expensive, sometimes it's not. But I'm going to be sharing at the end of this video the tip, what I think you should do if you want to get a long duration of visa. So for instance, even if you want to travel for 10 days, but you want a 6 months visa, I'm going to share what you have to do at the end of this video. So you should stay till the end. I'm going to share it at the end, okay? Okay, so you bought your insurance, you get ready your proof of funds, you print your bank statements, and you reserve your accommodation, because most likely than not, in every country you would have to show where you're gonna stay. Do you want to stay in a hotel? Which hotel do you want to stay? Do you want to stay with family and friends? They'll be asking you to provide the address of your family and friends. Usually what I do when I'm applying for visas, I don't like to pay for accommodation when the visa is not out, because what if the visa is rejected? When I was applying for Greece visa, there was a lady that I met at the visa application center. Her visa was denied. Even though they had asked us to book flights and accommodation, because I consider it very weird, because they asked us to pay for the flight only to find out that her visa was denied. Usually for me, what I do when I'm applying for visas, I do not pay for accommodation. I only reserve, and I do that with booking.com. So I'm going to drop the link to the booking.com in the description box. So what I do is when I go to booking.com, I book for accommodations that are book on hold, free cancellation. So for instance, say I want to travel in August and I'm applying for a visa in June. I'm going to book an accommodation for the itinerary. So if I'm traveling from 1st to 10 August, I book an accommodation for that. I reserve an accommodation for those dates. I'm able to pick an accommodation that I can cancel for free. So first of all, reserve without payment, and then I can cancel for free before my travel date. So that way you are not spending money, in case for whatever reason you want to change your itinerary or the visa was not approved. You don't have anything to lose. The one I cannot control is flights. They want to see that you've booked your flight. They want to see that you have paid. They want to see the receipt of payment, full payment. But not all countries demand flights. I don't think Spain demanded flights. Another thing you can do when you're doing your research, just check for different countries what they require and then decide if you have that. Like for me, when I checked the requirements for Spain, I felt like I was not just in the mood to provide all that at that time. So I chose Greece. I initially wanted Netherlands, but Netherlands, like I have said earlier, they did not have appointments. So you submit your application, book the required accommodation, print out all your documents, because when you get to the visa application center, you are going to be submitting your paper documents. Okay, so that's section 2. I've addressed choosing a country and I've addressed the application. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section. Now it's running 2 sections. I'm going to be talking about the document checklist now before I go ahead and talk about the appointment. So what kind of documents do you need to submit for a Schengen visa application? Let's go there. So now let's talk about the documents you need, okay? These are the standard documents that you would usually need for visa application. However, please note that each country will have their specific documents that they require, okay? So the country you're applying through would determine specific documents you're going to require. These are the standard documents that you will need to apply for a Schengen visa. You will need your passport, which is your travel document. Usually you should have at least 1 to 2 blank pages of your passport, and your passport should be valid for at least up to 3 months. Some countries will say 6 months, but I think 6 months is quite a long time. At least 3 months after your trip. So if you're planning to travel 1st to 10 August, your passport should be valid for 3 months after 10 August, minimum of 3 months. So some countries will say 6 months. You need passport photographs. They will usually want a passport photograph with a plain background. They would have the specification of the passport in the document checklist, so that way you will know what kind of passport you should provide. Usually like a plain background passport and all of that. You will need your bank statement. Now, not the bank statement that you print with your phone. You will need to go into the bank and get a certified true copy of your bank statement. So what I did was, when I wanted to apply, the day I was going to London to do my biometric capture was the day I just entered the bank and I asked them to give me my 3 months bank statement, and they gave it to me. Why? Because I want my bank statement to be recent. If your visa appointment is on 15th of the month, you don't want to print your bank statement on 1st of the month, because that's a 2 weeks gap, okay? You want to print your bank statement as close to the day of your appointment as possible. Usually 3 months bank statement. They need your pay slip to confirm your source of income if you're an employee. So your pay slip helps. 3 months pay slip would confirm your source of income, and your bank statement to confirm your expense, how you spend your money. So I said pay slip if you're an employee, and then maybe your business bank account if you are an employer, if you are a business owner. They will need your reference letter from your employer if you are an employee. So for me, I provided a reference letter from my HR department. They will usually tell you what the reference letter should contain, and each country have their requirements. So for me, what I did was I shared all of this in my visa guide, in my Schengen visa application guide. So please just go to the description to get it, because I don't want this video to be too long. So you get an employer reference letter, and then you print out your share code and your e-visa. For me, I was like, I'm just going to print out everything, because in the visa application checklist, they're saying evidence of your residence permit, which is your e-visa. So, but I just added my share code, and I noticed that they collected it from me as well. So, of course, the insurance certificate, print it out. The visa application form itself that you submitted online, print it out. And if you're being sponsored, then your sponsor will have to write a sponsor letter. So if somebody else is sponsoring you, say your friend or your family, they will have to write a sponsorship letter. Details of all of this is in my Schengen visa application guide. Then you also have to write a letter of intent. Never submit any visa application without a letter of intent, okay? Some applications will not outrightly say we need you to provide a letter of intent, but others will. But whether they ask or not, always provide a letter of intent. A letter of intent will contain your itinerary and all the things that you need to convince the visa officer that I deserve this visa. Again, details is in my Schengen visa application guide. So that's the document checklist. I don't think I missed anything, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask. If you're confused about, what documents do I need? Also, your documents also depend on your stage in life. If you are a student, of course, they're not going to be asking for an employer reference letter. They're going to be asking for a letter from your institution as a student. And if you are a minor, they're going to be asking for a letter from your guardian or your parents or your legal guardian. So that's it for the document checklist. If you have any questions, put it in the comment section. So we're going to go to the final part of this application. Final part of the application, and I'm going to share tips of what I think you should do in order to get a longer duration of visa, because I've seen a lot of people who got really short duration of visa. At least my visa duration was 2 months, and I was already complaining that this is so short. But then I saw people in the comment section saying, Couscous, don't be sad, I got a 5 days visa, I got a 7 days visa. I'm like, are you guys for real? I think I'm always doing something right. And even after I got the 2 months, I now know other things that I need to do to get a longer duration. So let's go to that part. So the last part will be your appointment. So we've assumed that you've submitted your application, you've printed all your documents, and you've booked your appointment, and your appointment day is here. So usually, of course, go early. Depending on your time of appointment, go at least 30 minutes to your appointment time, because there's going to be queues and all of that. You want to be there on time. I have a video that I shared what actually happened on the appointment day. I'm going to link the video in the description box so you can watch and see everything that happened on that day. So when you get there, they're going to give you a reference number that you will use to get your biometrics done. When is your time? Of course, if your appointment is 12 o'clock, please, I'm sure they're not going to attend to you by 12, but just go there by 11:30, so that if your appointment is 12 o'clock, you are in by 12 o'clock, because there's going to be queue. So once you are in and you take a seat, they call your reference number, they'll collect all your documents, they'll check that all the documents that they need on the document checklist is complete. If your document is not complete, they're going to send you out to go and get them. And I really hate that thing, because you have come all the way and you've waited on the queue for almost 2 hours. It's time for them to attend to you, then they're now sending you out. Of course, me, I had all my documents. I always have more than they require. So when they collected my bunch of files, they were like, oh, that's good, you have all your documents, and you've even signed the application. They collected all my documents, your fingerprints, and I always ask questions. I asked them, how long will it take for my decision to come? And the guy told me 2 weeks. He said 2 weeks. He was so sure. He said 2 weeks, and 2 weeks was fine for me, because usually decision outcome usually come between 2 weeks and 1 month. So you want to know how long. So depending on the country you're applying from, they will also tell you. I will recommend you ask, because yes, you can see the details on the website of, usually your application would be out in maybe 21 working days, but I would recommend you ask the visa application officers. They will know based on the time of season and the country. Okay, I asked them and they told me 2 weeks. Then I paid for courier, because they asked me, do you want your passport to be posted? I said yes. I cannot travel I don't live in London, so I cannot travel to London just to go and collect my passport when you can just send it to me via courier. So I always pay for courier. So I paid for courier. When you get there, you're going to pay for your application. Also, the amount of your application depends on the country. So you pay for your application, submit your biometrics, pay for courier for passport return, and then that's it. You come back and wait for your decision. For me, my visa decision came exactly 2 weeks after I submitted my biometrics permit. So that's the entire process of applying for a Schengen visa. And when your visa comes, feel free, you can visit the 29 Schengen countries. When you get to the border control, some borders ask you, where are you staying, where are you not, they ask you questions, but others don't. I remember when I went to Prague, they didn't ask me anything at the border. When I went to Greece, they just asked me of my name. When I went to Spain, they didn't ask me anything. They just collected my passport, saw my Schengen visa, and they stamped by. Anyways, that's it for this video. Now, the tip I said I was going to share, I have to give you this tip because you've stayed till the end, okay? You are very loyal. Thank you so much. And make sure you like this video and share it to people that you know it would help. Now, I have learned that if you want a longer duration of a visa, you need to show a longer itinerary and a longer insurance. So for instance, if your first trip is August 1st to August 10th, what a lot of people do is we submit an insurance certificate, or we buy insurance for August 1st to August 10th. However, you've forgotten that you want to go to a lot of other Schengen countries. Now, what you can do is buy a longer duration insurance, like 3 months insurance, 6 months insurance, even 1 year insurance. When I'm applying for my next Schengen visa, I will try and buy a 1 year insurance just to put it to the test if it will work. So what you do is, if you want a 3 months visa, buy a 3 months worth of insurance. If you want a 6 months visa, buy a 6 months worth of insurance that covers the entire Schengen countries, okay? Because even the insurance you have to submit must cover the entire Schengen country. In the application letter, they're going to ask you for your itinerary, and you will provide the itinerary, which they will not ask you for accommodation, for flights, and all of that. However, in your application, you're not going to be, let's say you need a 6-month visa. You're not going to state a 6-month itinerary in your application, right? Because you're not going to be booking accommodation for the next 6 months. Now, but in your letter of intent, you have the freedom and the liberty to explain yourself. So in your letter of intent, you can now say, oh, I bought a 6 months insurance because I'd like to explore the Schengen country for the next 6 months. I'd like to go to this country. I'd like to go to that country, and all of that. So that's another thing that can help you to get a longer duration visa. However, if it is your first time, just be open to getting a short duration of visa. Let me know if this video was helpful, and I have different videos about visa applications, Irish tourist visa, UK visitors visa, and all of that. So if you want, you can check those out on this channel, and feel free to check my Schengen visa application guide, where I break down everything you need to do from the beginning up to the end. Okay, let me know if this video was helpful. Like, share, comment. I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye.